The Gabriel Fernandez case, a real life horror that shocked America. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Case 0360. I'm Sasha. Tonight, we're examining one of the most heartbreaking and disturbing child abuse cases in modern American history. A case so shocking that it sparked national outrage. A case that forced authorities to examine failures within multiple systems designed to protect vulnerable children. And a case that continues to raise painful questions more than a decade later. This is the story of Gabriel Fernandez, a young boy whose short life became the center of one of America's most tragic criminal investigations. Before we begin, please be aware that this case involves child abuse, violence, and the death of a child. Some viewers may find the details deeply upsetting. Let's begin. Gabriel Fernandez was born in California in 2005. Friends, relatives, and people who knew him often described him as cheerful, friendly, and eager to please. Like many children, Gabriel enjoyed simple things. He liked playing. He liked spending time with family members who cared for him. And he dreamed about what he wanted to become when he grew up. But behind those childhood dreams, serious concerns would eventually emerge. For much of his early life, Gabriel was cared for by relatives. During those years, many family members believed he was living in a safer environment. However, circumstances eventually changed. Gabriel went to live with his mother, Pearl Fernandez, and her boyfriend, Isauro Aguirre. That decision would become a turning point. According to prosecutors, the abuse began escalating after Gabriel moved into the household. What happened over the following months would later horrify investigators. Authorities alleged that Gabriel suffered repeated physical abuse. The allegations included beatings, humiliation, neglect, and other forms of mistreatment. As investigators pieced together the timeline, they discovered allegations of abuse that appeared to continue over an extended period. One of the most troubling aspects of the case involved warning signs. According to reports, several people noticed injuries. Teachers reportedly observed concerning behavior and physical marks. School personnel documented concerns. Questions were raised, reports were made. And yet, despite multiple warnings, Gabriel remained in the environment where the abuse allegedly continued. This would later become one of the most controversial aspects of the entire case. Many people asked the same question. How could so many warning signs fail to stop what was happening? As months passed, concerns grew. Reports suggest Gabriel often arrived at school with visible injuries. Teachers noticed bruises. Staff members became increasingly worried. Some reports were forwarded to child welfare authorities. Investigations were opened. Yet the abuse allegedly continued. This remains one of the most painful realities of the case. The warning signs existed, people tried to help, but the intervention that Gabriel desperately needed never fully materialized. Then came the day that changed everything. In May 2013, emergency responders were called to the family's home. Gabriel had suffered severe injuries. Despite efforts by medical personnel, he later died at the hospital. He was just 8 years old. The investigation that followed quickly revealed disturbing allegations. Medical experts documented extensive injuries. Prosecutors alleged that Gabriel had endured repeated abuse over time. The details shocked even experienced investigators. As the case entered the public spotlight, media coverage exploded. People across the country struggled to understand how a child could suffer so much without receiving adequate protection. The criminal investigation moved quickly. Authorities charged Pearl Fernandez and Isauro Aguirre with murder and other crimes related to the abuse. The evidence presented during court proceedings painted an extremely disturbing picture. Witness testimony, medical records, photographs, and investigative findings all contributed to a case that prosecutors argued demonstrated prolonged and severe abuse. For many observers, one question remained impossible to ignore. Why? Why would anyone harm a child? Unfortunately, criminal investigations do not always provide satisfying answers. Some actions are simply difficult to comprehend. And for many people following the case, understanding the motivation behind the abuse proved nearly impossible. As legal proceedings continued, public attention intensified. Advocates for child protection pointed to systemic failures. Journalists examined missed opportunities for intervention. Community members demanded accountability. The case had become much larger than a single criminal prosecution. It was now a national conversation. Attention soon turned toward child welfare agencies. Reports revealed that concerns about Gabriel had been documented before his death. Questions emerged regarding how those reports were handled. Could more have been done? Should different decisions have been made? Were warning signs overlooked? These questions generated intense debate. Several officials faced scrutiny, lawsuits followed, and public confidence in certain systems was shaken. Many people felt that Gabriel had been failed not only by the individuals accused of abusing him, but also by institutions that were supposed to protect vulnerable children. The criminal cases eventually reached their conclusion. Isauro Aguirre was convicted of murder and received the death penalty. Gabriel Fernandez later pleaded guilty and received a sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. For some observers, the convictions represented justice, but others pointed out that no legal outcome could restore the life that had been lost. The tragedy remained, and the questions remained. One reason this case continues to resonate so strongly is because Gabriel was not hidden from society. He attended school. He interacted with people. Concerns were reported. In many ways, this case challenged assumptions about how child protection systems operate. People often assume that obvious warning signs automatically result in effective intervention. The reality can be far more complicated. Cases move through multiple agencies. Information passes between different individuals. Decisions are made under difficult circumstances, and unfortunately, mistakes can happen. The Gabriel Fernandez case became a painful example of what can occur when those systems fail. In the years following Gabriel's death, many discussions focused on reform. Experts examined procedures. Advocates pushed for improvements. And policymakers reviewed child welfare practices. While changes have been implemented in some areas, many experts argue that continued vigilance remains essential. Because protecting children requires more than policies. It requires awareness. It requires communication. And it requires people willing to act when something seems wrong. Another reason this case continues to affect so many people is Gabriel himself. When viewers learn about the case, they often focus not on court proceedings or legal arguments, but on the child at the center of the story. An 8-year-old boy, a child who deserved safety, a child who deserved care, a child who deserved the chance to grow up. Those simple truths make the case incredibly difficult to forget. For investigators, prosecutors, teachers, medical professionals, and community members involved, the impact was profound. Many have spoken publicly about how deeply the case affected them, because some investigations stay with people forever, and this was one of them. Today, the name Gabriel Fernandez remains widely recognized across America. His story has been the subject of documentaries, books, news reports, and public discussions. Not because people are fascinated by tragedy, but because people want to understand how such a tragedy could happen. And because many hope that remembering Gabriel may help prevent future cases. His story serves as a reminder that warning signs should never be ignored, that concerns should always be taken seriously, and that protecting children requires constant vigilance from families, schools, communities, and institutions alike. As we conclude tonight's case, one fact remains impossible to escape. Gabriel Fernandez never got the future he deserved, but his story continues to influence conversations about child protection across the United States, and perhaps that legacy can help create a safer future for others. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Case 0360. I'm Sasha. If you found this case informative, Please subscribe and turn on notifications for more true crime investigations, criminal case breakdowns, and real life mysteries. And as always, stay aware, because sometimes the warning signs are there. The challenge is making sure they are seen. I'll see you in the next case.